This is another round of me doing game dev live. Let's look a little nicer on camera. Good enough. So, past few times we've done fun things like multiplayer code. Today we're going to do more of that. Last time I was trying to figure out how to get a 100 millisecond buffer on my game, and I got everything done except for running that locally. I came across an issue. Issue's pretty simple, but it is what it is. It's an issue. So I'm going to go and troubleshoot that issue real quick. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing. So the issue is that it's sending packets to itself, and I don't want to send packets to itself. So I'm going to stop having the client send a packet to itself. So first off, we'll start off with showing where we're at. So I got a server, I've got a client, and the hello, welcome. Sunglasses. Nice. So what I'm going to start out with is I got to get it to stop sending packets to the current user, because that's what it's doing. It's sending packets about the zero player to the zero player. His queue should be empty. He should only be receiving stuff that's related to him. So I'm going to start off by debugging this comparison statement. We'll go from there. So that would be, is that here? No, it's not here. It's right here. So it doesn't continue. I don't know what it is that's making it not continue. I imagine this is like confusing to people if they have no idea what's going on. But that's life when you join a programming stream. Okay, but what about, so, oh, watch this. It wasn't built in a while. I wonder if that fixed it. Okay. All right. So we'll put a breakpoint here. And it says if peer ID equals peer ID, continue. So then when would we not hit it, right? And here we've got peer ID. So that's the server. Oh, what's going on here? We have 254 players. Oh no, those are player updates. So how am I getting, I've got the peer ID of 65535 for this player client. He's -1. The server should be sending out packets. So that's okay. So wouldn't it say, oh, peer ID is 0. Why would I send it to the server though? The server shouldn't be sending these packets to itself. Okay. Send packet to client. I guess, wonder where I'm doing that. I guess we could just do, no, it shouldn't. That's right. Ravenheart, welcome. Yeah. It's funny because it's sending packets to, it's sending it to the client or the end user, but it's not supposed to send. Actually, I'm going to put this the other way around because it's confusing. Oops. Server should not be sending its packets to itself ever. So I have to actually add a check here to check for client ID -1 and just continue. Let's see, player. How's your game going? I've been seeing tons of graphical updates. Pretty sweet. Or at least you're drawing a lot of things. Okay, we're going to do this. And then run this one. Join. Okay, I'm in. And I am getting... Okay, so this is the client, and the client's receiving nothing now, which is perfect. He wasn't supposed to be getting packets. So now I'm going to have the next player join. And this is where the packets come through. And let's see what we got. Peer 1, Peer 0, perfect. That's correct. Hopefully it didn't take too long and crash them. It did crash them. So we'll run all that again. And then if I have only packets from who should be receiving them, then we're good. Or for who should be receiving them. 1 and 2. Yes, look at that. Okay, so now I have the packets which I can simulate on the client side that will then get the clients to have the correct movement for the players. And then I also need to, let's see, I also need to get a malfunction on my desktop here. Let's get everything back up. Oh wow, the restream is not showing the Twitch chat for some reason. It's always weird. But I see your messages, so howdy. Okay. So what I need to do is at the beginning of the update loop, I need to do what I did for the server. But I need to do it for the player. And I need to know what tick we're on. I wonder, I can make this hard on myself or easy. Let's jump here. So I have the game time, but I don't have the game tick. I could send the tick to help keep things in sync, but the problem is that okay. I don't need to like think out loud on everything, but we're going to need to think a lot about this. So server update. So I have to figure out how to get the tick based off of game time. I might be able to send it with the ping, but the problem is that I don't want to have it be too crazy. So here I have the code for the buffer. For the server. So the server is got up-to-date movement, but the players are going to need something different. And the other issue is this needs to be wrapped in the if trap is server. Okay, so only the server will do this code now. Reacting to the inputs. And then I'll do the, basically I'm going to do something similar to this, but for the client. And then I need to have, what game tick is it? And then we would iterate through the updates. No, we would get our current tick. We're going to get the game time, and then we're going to get the ticks that we haven't processed, that need to be processed since the last update, and then process those. And so what I would like to go through, let's see. Okay, so all right, we don't need to go through the player clients. This is not how we would do it. But all of this code in here is what matters. So what I need to loop through is I need to simulate what's happening and run the game loop at that point in time. Interesting. We're gonna just go with kind of a basic thing. So I'm gonna, all right, let's just do it. No. Okay, I'm just gonna put this here, current tick, and we're gonna have it equal to 0 for now, just to get started. So then we have the game updates. So that would be game state pointer updates. Bam, that's our updates. Plus current tick, right? So then we would do, let's see what updates is, that one. So that's an array pointer of pointers. So there's many updates here. We have a max for that. So actually I have some code for that. Let's use that example here. Yes, this is it. Okay. And then we'll say current tick, and then that'll get me the last update. The only issue is that we have to not update the current tick until we process all of it, and then we need to really use game time to determine which ones we're going to run. So then I would also do if game state, no, we have to iterate through these. Let's just iterate through them. I equals 0, I less than player update array last length, I plus plus. Okay, so then we're here, we got player update pointer, player update, that equals, we'll get here, then we'll do the thing player update array last. It's not an array list, it's an array last. Okay. if player update game time is less than game state pointer game time, which means that this is ready to run, process. Assumption. This is sorted by game time. So I'm going to have the server do that. Okay, so then, boom, 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 we're here. I'm going to do less than or equal to game time. And now, for each one of these, we're going to update the player. So we'll do player client equals that game state pointer player clients that, and then we will do player update dash peer ID. Okay, so then that's internal get internal player client from peer ID, which would be player update peer ID. Okay, that will get me player client ID from peer ID. No, I want player client from peer ID. I thought I had a method for that already. I'll just take a look at the top. Game player right here. Okay, so it is what the one I was looking at. It's just named incorrectly. Yeah. So get player client from peer ID. So it's, what are you returning, bud? Yeah, you're returning a game client. So bam. Okay, so that should get a game state, use the game state pointer. Yes, everything. Great. If player client does not equal null, then we do what we need to do, which is to update its input. And that's easy. So player client dash move up equals player update dot move up. Congratulations. We are halfway there. Okay, and then the trigger, which would be trigger attack, trigger attack. Great. Okay, we're pretty much where we need to be. Let's double check and see if there's anything in here that I need to update more. No. Okay. And let's just look at player update and see if there's anything more I'm providing. No. Okay. So that places me in a nice spot. I've really got some things set up here. Now I need to get this current tick thing fixed. I could figure out the current tick based off of the game time, and I could just get the max game time and see if my tick is in there. And go off of that. Once you have the tick time, it's pretty simple to increase it. server tick. I'm going to call it client tick. Great. And we'll start it at 0. Okay. Fun. Okay, is client I'm sure this is going to crash. We're going to start at the 0 tick, and if we'll just iterate through the ticks until we get to no, the reason why we don't do that. So we need a starting point. I think when the player connects, we'll give them a tick number, and that tick number will be the starting point. How about this? Client tick, server tick. So server tick is going to be the last game update tick that was sent to the client. So that's easy. So excuse me. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, that's because it's the heartbeat, so that's okay. This one. In here, we are sending from the server to the client. We are sending send last tick. No? Okay. So is that update game state units? Wait. This one. Send server tick. And in here, we already fixed that. In here, we are sending the tick. But we're also sending it here. Perfect. So, oh no, we're getting it here. So then I want to do this. I want to do game state pointer server tick equals tick. Perfect. So now I have what the server tick is. So then for me, if we'll add a boolean. Client tick init. And we'll just start that out as false. Great. Okay. So now if client tick init is not initted, then we will set it to the server tick. Done. Smooth. We're out of here. Wonderful. Okay. So then, where I was using client tick here, I would say if init. And if it's, now that it's initted, we're here. And then when I get through this entire list, and what we want to do is we added a process flag. Just do whatever I want. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Here we go. Nope. Okay, it's in the init here. I gotta initialize it to the correct value. Okay, we allocate everything here, but where am I running through it? No. Okay, I've allocated it, but I need to make sure that everything's zeroed, so Great. And when I do this, we can do processed equals 0. Move up. Is there anything in here that needs to be zeroed out? No, when it allocates using that, it does zero it out. So I don't need to zero it out. It will be zeroed out. The reality though is when I set a new one, I need to actually zero it out. So that would be here. I need to make sure that when we receive this here, we need to make sure that player update process equals false. And then when we go through our loop to check and see if it needs to be processed, update right here, not server, this one. So then we go through here, we add another collapsing function here, which would be on update. And we can just do if player update processed continue. Great. So then that means we won't process it more than once. Then in here, once we've done what we need to, mark it as true. Great. This is probably not going to work. But we're going to try. Okay, I'm in. I'm in. I run around. Woohoo. You know, it's not going to work because I'm not incrementing. But that's okay. Let's see what it looks like when it's done improperly. Okay, so the change here is that it should see the movements, but it doesn't because the entities have not been spawned into the world. Yeah, so like, I don't see anybody else. I don't see the server. The server sees no one. Nope, the server sees somebody. Yeah, it sees this one guy over here. But, and let me get him over here as well. It sees them, but the clients don't. And that's because we've not sent client data. I guess I would have to look into, because I'm getting the tick info, but I don't think I've sent to the clients that they have any sort of peers. So the way we're going to test that is to implement something similar to my ping checker, which is this. And we'll show player list, why not? And then we'll do the same thing. Just use the same code, really. Okay, so this is for the server, so this will be for the client. And then we'll do is client. Great. Build. And that will probably not show anything. But I want to just test it. So server, press tab. He has ping 0. Jump in with another guy, press tab. He has nothing, doesn't show anyone else. He jumps in with the next one, join, press tab, nothing here either. So they don't have an updated client list. I need them to know about the clients. So what I want to do now is report to the player that there's another player. Give the player's ID, or player's client ID, peer ID, and everything else. And then have all that be in sync. So we'll start with the thing here. Hola amigos. Please call me Mario. Okay, how are you doing, Mario? Mario. Ay. Let's see. Not this one, it's the next one. Okay, so we need to have the server when a new user connects to send them to the other peers what's going on. So p server dot client set player cli, no, send player cli Morio. What game are you making? Think Winter Mall combined with Capture the Flag combined with assassination type game. World expands out from the center. It's multiplayer. You play a king or a soldier or another unit. The king unit, when he dies, the game ends. The other team also has a king. When that king dies, the game ends. And you guys fight through the wilderness and other soldiers to get the enemy's king. The king is strong in his base, and when he's outside of his base, he's average. So you can kill him really easily if he's roaming. That's the type of game I'm making. So we're going to make this packet here where we send client info when the users connect. That's like really important. So I need to do that. And what I don't have here is easy way of doing that, because when you connect, it doesn't really do anything. We get in here and we send client connected incoming peer ID. So we are sending a client connected event. So I need to add another one then. We'll call this the P server client. So we need to do like SE player client connected. Maybe client connected could do it for you. Wow, I haven't played any of them. Basically chess 2.0. Yes, there's a whole mixture of things, but it makes more sense as time goes on for me how to explain it. So let's see here. We've got client connected. We're just passing it through, and it does CL client connected. And then in here, I'm just doing, all right, I'm doing the work over here. So I'm basically passing all the way through. What I need to pass is the peer ID, because the peer ID is what I'm doing all of the stuff off of. But I need the client ID because I need to know what it is. So I think what we'll do, oh, here it is. It's right here. Oh, look at that. So then when a client connects, I can just report using that connection here. So in here, I could do player connected, and then the player connects, and we get our updates, and then we send out a thing here, like an update. But what I could do is I could iterate through the player clients, which I'm already doing here. I'm iterating through them and setting information for this guy. But I also could say else, and then report that there is a new player. And then that's where I can send my new packet. Hello, hello, hello. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If it's a stupid question, I'll make fun of you, but not too much, just a little bit. That way you get better at asking questions. All right, so this will go through all the players. And then what we need to send to the players is not too much. We don't need all this for sure. And then it needs to be the P server. Why was that a client packet? Oh no, that's because that's what I took. So then we would do server client send player client. There we go. And what we want to send here is just those two pieces of input, the peer and the client ID. And those are ints, so those should be easy to write a packet for. Peer ID client ID. Done. Send packet to server. No. Send packet to client. Comma. And then we'll take this player client's peer ID. Peer ID. Done. We're free. Now, problem. I know now that I also need to send all of the clients' peers, all the other ones. So I actually need to do another packet with all the data in it as well. Now we could just send the full player client data of every player to every player in this, and then I only have to write one. But for now, we're just going to do it this way. Because only one of them will get the info. Okay, I'm going to run it. Will it work? So what I'm doing right now is building out the network code, which is a complicated task. But once I get what I need done, then everything will start working nicely. Okay, so I did send this info, but what's the problem is that we're not sending all of the stuff, you know? We are missing the server has everything. I could see all these guys. They're just in the wrong spot. What am I missing? When you send the player, are you also sending the entity? I'd have to do another thing for that. Yeah, so you basically have to send a packet with the game state at a particular tick when the user connects. And then when a new user connects, you have to add that user to the list and make sure it has an entity ID, which in this case it won't. So then I would want to send that. When you connect here, well, you know what? Let's just see that he shows up in the list. That would be a good start. Let's do that. And then here, refresh, join tab. Shows the thing on the left. We'll do it again here. Refresh, join, and then the tab key. And nope, nothing. So we're not actually. No, we are sending it. We are sending it. You're sending the packet. What are you doing with the packet? Talked all about it, but didn't do anything with it. Okay, so now we do case server send player client break. Okay. Packets here. This is weird. This is the wrong spot for this. It should be client process packet. And in here. Okay. So we get game time, packet type. So then we're going to read two ints. Int will be peer ID. Okay, great. So client ID is going to be the player client. So then we want to do great. Okay. Then we want to do great. Player client. Do player client dash peer ID equals peer ID player client client ID equals client ID. It's already set. And then we could do player cli dash be connected equals true. Build redefinition multiple times. So then we'll just do a nice little, put it up here. Run. Okay. Tab. This one would have nothing because of what I believe. Yes, server has it. That's not what I wanted. I've only got 2 of them running, so I need one more. All right. We've got some coins and things and a crash and a crash. Okay, so we're going to run it as the client and see if we can repro that crash. Figure out why it crashed. And it'll just fail on the thing. Okay, so here we go. ENET clients length. Why are we getting this 0? ENET clients. It's really not helping me. This is null. Why is clients null? Send packet to client. Internal update entity ID. Internal update entity ID. Why are we doing this? Server to client. I'm running as a okay, so this needs to not be running. It is. Spawn the player. One, 6. We're sending a packet though. Only the server should be updating the entity ID. And only the server should be spawning things. So let's throw this into his server. Okay, press tab here. Yes, we do have people showing up. Okay, I'm not going to see them showing up together, but I do have that. So what I need now when I tell the player when I send a spawning of the player, then I also need to send Okay. I got the issue now. So here it says internal update entity ID, and it's sending a peer and an entity ID. But the thing is that everybody needs to get that, not just one of them, right? So then I would just say -1 here. Everybody needs to know about this new entity ID. And then this case here, when you get this, you need to have the peer ID as well. So what we want to do is here where we're writing this packet, we want to write peer ID as well. There we go. And then when we receive it over here, we want to read peer ID. What do we got in here? Okay, we got our peer ID. And that peer ID is actually what the entity ID is supposed to be. So instead of updating this, we're going to update the specific peer. So then we'll do internal get our player client ID from peer. Send in that peer ID. Okay. And then we already have a player client defined up here, so then we'll just do this. And this. Okay. So now player client, we would do player client dot entity ID equals int val, which is entity ID. I'm going to do player client be entity active equals true. Block from restream. And then let's see. Let me go to my. Got to delete that spam message. And then okay. So that's active now. And then if I know my peer ID because the packet's being sent to me, and that packet's going to have the peer ID. So if peer ID equals peer ID, then we can set this here and then get rid of this to do wrong because that's okay. And then set this one to val. Okay. And then here we've got redefinition of peer ID. All right, compile, run. 10, 10, and there we go. Okay, and that guy crashed. This guy crashed. So we need to figure out why. You really don't want to wait to the end to make a multiplayer game because it's just going to crash all day. Okay, so here we go. We got int val 4, entity ID. Oh, this is null. Because if the... Okay, so if this is null, if player cli... No. You do this. This is what you're supposed to do. And then if it doesn't exist, then you need to do this. And then player client ID from peer ID, you try to get it. If it's null, then you need to do we'll just do what we did over there. No, if it's null, then it's null. You need to add a new one. But why would we use that? Why would you use peer ID instead of client ID? You should be sending client ID. So let's see here. Write down the client ID. Update entity ID. The server's going to know. So then we just do write. So Yekno says, I hate coding in Visual Studio. What do you prefer coding in? Do you have like a favorite editor? So what we got? Client ID, yes. And then size of int, let's be done with that. Okay, so now we need to fix the other side of this here. And we'll just do client ID equals this. Packet. All right, client ID. Now with client ID, we what's your main programming language? We'll start there. Okay, so then we have this. We're getting it from peer ID, but instead we have a client ID list, and it's gonna be this. So then what we could do is we could check here and say, okay, so does pclient exist? It doesn't, because we're going to just do this. Bam. Length equals. Great. Okay, so now guest says stream randomly popped up. Good luck, man. Whatever you're doing, good luck. I'm writing a game in C in Raylib using ENET for network code. And I'm setting up a 100 millisecond packet buffer for the client to use that the server sends out, and then that will simulate the world so a player gets to feel like he's interacting in the real world. So this is actually player client. There we go. And then get rid of that. So then we can just pop in client ID here. C is so hard. What is hard about C? Can you tell me? Redefinition of client ID. That's fine. And then I'll say, yep, that's what I thought it would do. So we got client ID up here, great. And then unresolved write packer. What? There is no write packer. There you go. Okay, so now let's get back to where we were in here. Read packet, client ID, this, that, jump through here. Hard to learn. You know C++. And you know Python. So I think one way to say it is it's probably hard to not use object-oriented programming. Is that fair to say? Okay, what do we got going on here? Okay. You know what? You are right. C is hard to learn because you have to read some textbooks because most of the literature out there is very bad. But for you, it's your lucky day. What I found to be very useful is this article here from Fabian Sanglard. And he gives you some recommendations, which I tend to agree with. I have this book, and this book. And this one. And I recommend just getting all of them. What you're going to find... yeah, C# can wait. I mean, if you want to be employed and make money, C# the way to go. If you want to make games, you know, you can try C. You can also write them in C++, but C++ is a very hard language to learn because it's filled with so much bloat from, like, you know, 30 plus years or so. A long time, not 30, but more than that, of compounding bad decisions. And objects, you don't really need objects. And that's the thing, is you don't need objects. Just, it's so funny. I don't use objects. And I have a game that's working perfectly fine. And it'll keep getting better. It's a multiplayer MOBA style game that has some elements from like a Winter Mall type game from Warcraft 3. And then it's kind of like a top-down action thing. But it's not that advanced right now because it's in its infancy stages. But it's going to be multiplayer. The world will expand out from the center. There'll be 2 bases. You have a king, they have a king. If your king dies, they win. If theirs dies, they lose. You play either the king or one of his units. Your king is basically your team leader. If he dies, game over. He builds your base. He's strong in the base. When he's outside of the base, he's weak. And that's just the concepts. So player clients, client ID +1. We go into here. We've got ourselves a player client. And now I'm right here. And why am I here? What was I doing? Ah, yes, I was setting the player client fields. And I had already set them, but now I have to set them again. Because I deleted that code for some reason. Okay, player client. Be connected equals true, player client, and then be entity active will set to true. You know, is it active? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then this does set unit, and I think this is what. No, that's good enough. So let's give this a try. Oh, well, your friend needs to pick a new language. So let me read that out loud. So my friend just learned his first programming language, and he picked out Lua out of everything. Here's a problem with Lua. Lua's for writing code for existing projects as an extension. So you like miss out on way too much. And you could argue, oh yeah, well I can write programs in Lua. Okay, go ahead. Show me a sophisticated program. Yeah, exactly. I know Lua is so dumb. The thing is if he wants to be a modder, that's great. But he also could just learn how to program and then learn Lua. But right now he's doing the wrong way. It'll take him longer if he keeps doing that. There's no right or wrong way to learn how to program. Most people shouldn't program, by the way. It's just not for everybody. Too many people are getting into it now that are no good. Okay. So, I've got a guy here and a guy here, and they don't move now. So what have I done? Have I destroyed everything? I must have. Okay, so let's think about what we've done here. I think it's this entity active is the problem, so we'll get rid of that. Try again. Yeah, okay, so I'm messing something up. You should learn C. Just take the leap. All right, so server to client, update entity ID, comes in, we set the unit, set unit does this. Goes through all these things. So I think what the issue is, I'm not setting the, no I am, it's right here. So let's put a breakpoint here. I feel like Python's just going to teach you some big mistakes. Okay, so we aren't landing here, which means that the packet peer ID. Oh, that's wrong. Why would I do it that way? I guess what we should do instead is see if we have our player client set. When are we setting up? Do you know who you are at this point? I think so. The only programming he knows is Scratch, so he is not ready. Well, it takes years to get good. So if he keeps trying, he'll get good. And Python's a good starting point. But if you have the time and the willingness, you just jump into C. And then in a couple years, you'll just be fine. Let's see. Okay, so player clients has a peer ID. And here, we're reading the peer ID so that we can then update based on the client ID. So let me see if we're setting player client at all to anything. Okay, so if we are getting our multiplayer status changed, by this point in time we'll have a client ID. So I can guarantee that this is present at that point. So then I can do this and this, and then that should set me up with my right entity. Putting my game on Steam tomorrow. I'm excited. What is your game? You can link it in the chat. or your Steam store page, rather. All right, we're moving to the next one. Join. Okay, he's in. And did he show up? No, he did show up. But is that the server? Nope, that's not the server. Okay, good news is that he shows up. So that's great. I think I need to actually get the coordinates to be passed into that spawning. This thing right here, update entity ID. I also should send the coordinates that I want his starting spot to be. So we're doing it in two places, here and here. And it's doing 150, 150. So why don't we just do 150, 150? Okay. And then here we do the same thing. Array undeclared. What did I do? There we go. Good. Then let's do in here. Send the update. We want to do 2 of these. Pause X, pause Y. Then we want to go on the other side of this to the case. And we could do, let's see, we got pause X or Y up here. We don't. Let's just add it. Int pause X, int pause Y. Okay, jump back down here. You just fixed 28 errors so fast. Yep. Yep, that's true. That is true. Errors cascade. If you forget a semicolon here, it knows where it's been broken. But if you forget it on something that's a declaration here like this, then you get all these errors. But if you know what to look for, it's pretty simple. And I know that I just added a method, so it's not so fancy after all. All right. So now these are all going to spawn at the 150 marker on the map. You should use pixel art for your game. It speeds up making sprites, and it looks pretty good. I am using pixel art, and yes, that's what I will be doing. I got pixel art in here right now. Cool, so he spawned in the right spot. So when he moves around, the other day I had this working really well, but the problem is I didn't have packet smoothing. So then things got messy pretty quick. I got to add the position of his target reticle as well. That's easy to do. But yeah, pixel art saves you a ton of time. It really does. Okay, so here's the test. Okay, so it didn't. It's still not doing it. So I am receiving the packets, though. I know I'm receiving them because they are here and here. Okay, so when I move on this screen, I am getting updates on this one. So this is the console for that one, and then this is this one. So this one, no updates, which is correct. This one, here is getting the movement updates. So I should be able to process them. Here's what I don't know. What tick are we on? So I should print that on the screen for the client. Print the server tick and the... Oh yeah, I just remembered. We have the starting tick, but we're not ticking forwards. So that's why it keeps going behind. Thanks. I made the king on one of my streams, and I made the goblin. And, you know, it was fun to make. So whenever you walk within a certain range of these guys, they target you. And I was about to make them chase after you and attack, but I was testing out just the networking code at that time. So I'm still on networking. I have something, I'm getting close to having something. Like I'm almost done with the buffer right now. If I can get this buffer done, then we're good to go. Let's see, game render, game UI render. Okay, so in here I'm drawing to the screen the ping and all that stuff, but what I really need is to draw I'm drawing the ping. Underneath the ping, I want to draw the tick, server tick, and then we can do game tick. Yeah, client tick. Okay, and then we'll do, what is this, a 10? That's a 5, so let's do 20, so 30, and then 50. Run it. That's server. Then we'll start another one for the client. He joins, and he's in. And we've got the client tick in the server. It's so stupid. It's not working. Okay, great. And then here we've got the server ticks are matching, which is what you want to see. And then the client tick is at 0, which is not what you want to see. I had modified it to where it would update the tick every time. So we've got a problem with a server to client packet, which is the update position. Or sorry, the send server tick. So in the send server tick, I'm getting a tick, and it says if game state pointer is false, set the tick. Set the ENET to tick? No. See, there's some fun bugs. There we go. Run that again. Great. Refresh. Nope. Jump in. Join. Okay, great. So my first tick would have been 56, except I'm not incrementing the ticks, so we're behind. I'm going to stay watching this. Great. You know, I stream a couple times a week. I stream Saturday morning Eastern, and then in the PM around this time, an hour ago till about, I go from anywhere from 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll probably be wrapping up soon tonight because I am getting tired, but I'll try to stick around for a little bit longer. So I need to increment the client tick when we have processed all of the client packets. And so in here I have processed here. Yep. So this is processed. Process is true, continue, and then if I get here, be done equals false. Great. And then we could do if be done tick plus plus. So that would be game state pointer game client tick. There we go. Okay, so then that'll make the tick go forwards. And then, so we go through here. If it's processed, we continue. If it's less than, we go through and we process it and we go to the next one. So then this makes it to where if this is the last one and it goes through, it goes through. So we go through here and, oh, we don't get one of these. And we go through, oh, we're not done because we have more for this time. So now I'm going to watch. Wow, I could see why there were so many, so much detail to the Source Engine's multiplayer thing, because I'm starting to see it now. So look at that. The client tick's stuck. What programming language do you want to learn the most? I don't. I'm already done. C is probably the last or second to last language that I will learn for now on my own outside of work. I think C is probably one of the best languages to learn. I don't like object-oriented programming. I do it professionally. I do it because I have to, not because I want to. And it is a big waste of time, and it will mess your thinking up for a long time. Such a bad idea. Okay. So, in here, we've got a player update. And if we can't get this, we just have to continue. And because it didn't work, I don't know, we'll just leave that, I guess. If this game turns out to be a hit, you should make it 3D. When I cross the bridge of doing 3D, I'll think about that. I'll probably have to switch from Raylib to SDL3, which, whatever, might be okay. Okay, so we're going to try this again. If it starts working magically, then we know that we've got a problem with our player clients list. Yeah, so the ticks are going by way too fast. Which means it's outrun the server. So in here we say if it's not null. So what's going on? When I get rid of this, it doesn't work. Okay, so I've already broken it. So we'll read through this and figure it out. You know what? When I receive that first tick, I should probably do -5. Give it time to catch up. We should never be greater than the server tick, though. So what I could say is, if we just can't be ahead of the server on our ticks. Okay, so now it's acting like it's the same. So what I need to do is run these both. Put this over here. Put this here. Join. Okay. So We'll make one more, and this one will be the other client. And now here I want to print that we are actually doing updates. Okay, great. And they all crashed. That's okay. It's just testing it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're stuck at 68 and we're stuck at 83. So what is happening? It would be nice to print out, because I know this is a bug here. So we're going to print out error. Peer not found. Then we'll do player. If you're going to learn C#, you'll need to learn to love Visual Studio. Sorry, man. That's your future. Peer not found. Peer not found. We didn't find peer 0. 0 not found. Peer not found. Peer not found. Wow, wow, wow. Going crazy. Okay. So what this tells me is that the internal client ID from peer, this thing is using peer and it's jumping in here. It doesn't have the peer ID set. So there is a place where I'm setting that peer ID. And I am sending the client data when they connect. I think what's happening is it's only one of them's getting it. But that still doesn't make sense. So in here, I'm getting the peer ID and the client ID. And then we're setting it. And here, when this player connects, we're sending out its peer ID and its client ID in this packet here. Okay, but we're getting him here, so why don't we do player and then down here we're sending it out with the peer ID. So we should be able to set its peer ID here. We are. And what about the client ID on this? Steam. This game is going on Steam. It'll be a PC game. And if I feel like it, I'll make it a Mac game, but it's usually not worth it because Mac has serious problems with maintainability. Okay, so we're good here. Then we go again, and we join, and then it freezes. And it freezes because it cannot find peer 0. Here it can't find peer 1. Is that peer ID or is that client ID? That's client ID. What are we doing? Are we getting something mixed up? Peer, client ID, peer, client ID, peer, client ID. Okay. Sweet. Well, when it's on there, if you're watching, you'll know right away. It's going to be a bit. Multiplayer games take a lot more time, but once I've got the groundwork done, it will become a lot easier. So what's happening here is it's just not finding this peer. And it should be able to find it. And makes me think about something. So player connected in here. Player gets connected. Check to see if it's already in the clients list. Client already exists. If he does or doesn't, whatever. If he does exist, we get his peer ID. If he doesn't exist, I see. What is this? We're iterating. And if we find a match, this is kind of wrong, don't you think? Oh, okay. Okay, I get it now. I'm iterating through. Yeah, this is like a really bad way to do this. What did I have here before? I totally messed this up. Check if a client already exists. If the client already exists. Okay, so we're going through iterating. Oh, we found a match on client ID. Make sure that the peer ID matches, whatever. And then here I was saying, oh no, do this, and if you're not the client, or for each client ID that's not it. You see, the problem here is that this is not going to make it. It's going to get stuck. What I was doing before was this. I mean, this is just such a bad pattern that I'm doing, but that's okay. So then it would iterate through and it would find this person, and we don't need to return. We need to keep going to send it to everybody else. Then when we're done, it says create a new one. I just don't know what this is all about. Oof. That's what happens when you... Okay, we're gonna get this method back to where it was when I started, because it's a mess. Okay, so we started out with this. Check if it already exists. If it does, update its values. That's what the return is. So we bail. That's what we were doing before. So we'll go do this again. We'll bail the method. And then we'll iterate again. Make a new loop. What games have you made? I made Tetris. I've made a couple Ludum Dares. I've made some top-down shooter games. I've worked on a big game project called Space Station 13. I've done quite a bit. But I've not released any games that were products that made money. I made a Tetris. Not the Tetris. I made a Tetris. I didn't make the original. I just made a remake. Okay, so if these match, we're going to continue. If they don't match, we need to send out, hey, look, this guy's here. Okay, great. And then this create a new one is what happens when it doesn't exist. So put it out in the end here. Okay, great. Now, if I made Tetris, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. Probably playing it. Okay. And we are still stuck on that tick, and that's because it's saying peer not found, peer not found. But the problem is that you're supposed to be touching this code. This is where we're supposed to be landing. But you know what? I bet you. Okay, so we go in here, and we're going through the players. I'm creating packet. Create packet, this length, send player client, or send server to client. I'm sending it to a client. Sending it to this client's peer ID. So why don't we do this? Printf. Comma. Okay, so now this should work. The server should be sending out that info. Well, that's when you connect, though. Okay, let's put a breakpoint in there and see if we're making it there or not. Okay. Okay, we're here. Client ID 1 minus 1. Wait, are we sending packets to client IDs or peer IDs? I don't remember. So this should be sending it to 0. And I'm client ID 1. So you should be getting it. Right? So then check here and verify that we're landing here. If we're not landing here, then we're stuck. Okay, what did I do? Let's close that and that. Run, start, good to go. Here, go, join. Great. Now, when I have this guy join, all right, great. I'm in here. I've got myself peer ID. Client ID is minus a lot. So the client ID is totally messed up. And then the length of this, okay, great. So we've got something to work with now because client ID shouldn't be 0. So we go in here, peer ID, client ID. We're writing it. So then I would ask, the question is, oh, when we get here, is client ID messed up? So I put the breakpoint here now. Well, yeah, here. Right here. We put one right here. See if we're actually sending the wrong info. Okay. Client ID 0. Great. Continue. Do the next one. Client ID is 1. So what is this? This is just verify all of my int, unsigned int. Okay, so then we've got val and game time peer and client ID. So then here we have game time, which is an unsigned int. And here's a signed int, or regular int. Yeah, signed int. Jump back here, unsigned int, regular int. Double check one more time. Yes. So then client ID, let's see, read packet. Packet is a pointer. We're taking a pointer. So that works. Get into here. So what is messing it up? Because it's not here, but it's somewhere else. And it's acting like client ID is crazy. So it's right here. Where was it? I was somewhere where I was looking at client ID a moment ago, and it was like the wrong number. This one. Really doesn't make sense. Oops. Ooh. Ooh, I'm getting tired. You guys won't have me for much longer today because I need a nap. Gonna wake up early tomorrow. Okay, we're in here, and client ID is negative, negative, negative. Peer ID is 1. Game time is this. Okay, am I getting messed up because of the game time? Peer ID, client ID. So this is really not good. I know. You know what? We need to investigate this here. Client ID. Why am I sending it peer ID? Everywhere else, we're sending client ID. And then I have this one spot here where I'm sending peer ID. How big is this packet? The packet itself has a client ID. And it's being set to... Oh, that's the server. The server doesn't have a client ID. It does. It's -1. Okay. I think I know what I need to do. That's nuts. Alright guys, I'm fading. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you for watching. I'll probably stream again sometime later this week. And I'll probably have made some progress on this while I'm offline. The issue is that I made the server be client ID -1 or something. And I'm just going to need to make the server have a real client ID. So that's what I'll work on. Let's see. Add your actions to a queue. That's done. That's done. That's done. Yes, we are sending that out. So fix issue where I'm going to describe the issue and then we're gonna call it quits. Server needs a real client ID. It can be 0. And that's it. All right, guys, y'all have a good night, and I'll catch you later.